I do want to get more insight on these developments, and as we're waiting to see what is going to happen next. Joining me now is Avi Mayer, the former editor-in-chief of the Jerusalem Post, who has also held roles at the American Jewish Committee and in the Israeli Defense Forces. Avi, great to have you here. You know, Israel has always had this undertone of the way that they protect themselves is through strength, is through going into Rafah when they are being told by U.S. allies, don't go into Rafah, very explicitly. I mean, clearly there's a bit of swagger in what you just saw in that video from Netanyahu of his thinking. I wonder what you read into that.
Look, Caitlin, this moment has been likened to the killing of Osama bin Laden by U.S. forces. There's the sense that justice has been done. The Yahya Sinwar, the mastermind of the October 7th massacre, the worst mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust, has finally been eliminated. But this is not a sense of closure for many Israelis. As you mentioned, there are 101 hostages who are still being held in Gaza. We don't know what their fate is at this time. There are tens of thousands of Israelis who have yet to return to their homes in both the north and the south of the country due to ongoing rocket attacks by Hezbollah. And so there's a sense in Israel that there's still work to be done. And as you said, this could indeed be a pivotal moment. This seems to be an opportunity to, as you said, call it a win, move on, and try to figure out how to get those hostages home as quickly as possible.
Well, and what are you hearing about what the other parties in the region that have been such a part of this? I mean, Qatar, on what the next step is going to look like here, because very clearly the U.S. wants to leverage this moment. What is it that could get Israel to do so in the way they're viewing it, the way the Qataris are viewing it right now?
Well, there have been certain suppositions that Khalid Mashal, one of the Hamas leaders currently resident in Doha, Qatar, may indeed be the next leader of that movement. That presents an opportunity for the Qataris to apply unrelenting pressure on him, to in turn apply pressure on his people in Gaza to end this war and return those hostages. We hear many voices coming from Israel and elsewhere saying that's exactly what needs to happen right now. Qatar needs to be applying pressure on Hamas in a way that they hadn't up until this point. And I don't know what more could happen to bring this war to a close at this point.
I mean, Netanyahu has been saying repeatedly during the hostage talks, as they've been getting closer and then it seems edging back from the table, that it was Sinwar who was the major obstacle. We heard that echoed by U.S. officials. I mean, what happens now if Sinwar is out of the picture and still no hostage deal happens?
Well, Caitlin, the president himself said that Sinwar was an obstacle, the main obstacle to any kind of deal. Now, this is an opportunity to actually bring one about. But there's a great deal of uncertainty. There's, as we understand, a great deal of disarray in Hamas, in its ranks, about who the new leadership is. We understand that they may not even reveal who the leader is for fear that this individual may indeed be killed in the future. And so we don't know who calls the shots at this time. As I said, there is certain hope that if you apply pressure on those leaders of Hamas in Doha, Qatar, that in fact that could generate some kind of momentum towards a deal at this time. But at this point, it's unclear whether that'll be what actually takes the point at this point.
That's really interesting. So you've heard that Hamas may not actually name who it is that's going to be Sinwar's successor out of a fear of his safety. I mean, we've seen this is happening in Iran with the supreme leader there. Obviously, they were able to kill high-ranking Hezbollah officials, and so they seem to be concerned about actually naming that successor.
Look, it's important to realize that regardless of who is appointed the next head of Hamas, Yahya Sinwar was an icon. He was a symbol for the Palestinian terrorist organizations, and his loss is a crushing blow to those organizations. We have seen indications in Gaza that there is now open opposition to Hamas in ways that there hadn't been just 1 week ago, and one can hope that will offer the momentum needed to seal a deal and bring those hostages home.
Yeah, major questions. Avi Mayer, as always, thank you so much.